of the man who killed Jeffrey Dahmer. Christopher Scarver was a junior in high school when he was kicked out of his mother's house for being an alcoholic. He then took a job as a carpenter in training and was promised that when he completed his training, he'd be hired full-time. Unfortunately, the man who promised him this was let go and replaced by a man named Steve Lohman. Christopher was enraged when he didn't get his job, so he went to Steve demanding his money and shot him in the head 3 times after receiving it. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and convicted and was sent to life in prison with fellow inmate Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer was a convicted serial killer and sex offender who had murdered and eaten over 17 boys. One morning, the two were assigned to clean the prison gym. When Jeffrey turned his back, Christopher murdered him with a 20-inch bar from the weight room. He received 2 additional life sentences, and when asked why he did it, he said that Dahmer made him extremely uncomfortable and wasn't sorry for what he did.
Scariest photos ever taken, part 2. This is a trigger warning to anyone who would be triggered by suicide, so if you would, then please click off the video. So what I'm about to show you is a picture that was taken on the bridge Lover's Leap. The reason why it's called Lover's Leap is because couples usually go here to jump off the bridge together. This is the photo that was taken, not realising that the person in the background was jumping off the bridge. He said he was playing with the camera setting so much that he didn't realise the man had just jumped to his death. It was only after he realised that he snapped the photo because someone had shouted that somebody had jumped. He heard him hit the water below, and then seconds later a woman climbed on the bridge and jumped as well. He said he was totally paralysed and there was no way he could have got anywhere near her.
Creatures in the Backrooms, Part 3. The Break Room Man is a non-hostile entity on level 4. He is a 7 feet tall, all-white humanoid with an odd black outline. He also has large eyes that appear to be drawn on. He seems to have memorized the layout of level 4 and often helps travelers by guiding them to settlements. He also carries a coffee mug around with him for some reason. The only time that he's been recorded to have actually hurt someone was when he accidentally spilled coffee on a traveler's arm and burned him.
Disturbing facts you didn't ask for, but you're getting anyways. Now, I love The Wizard of Oz. It was my favorite movie growing up. But did you know that a lot of messed up things happened during the filming of this movie? Judy Garland was forced on a diet of soup, crackers, and 80 cigarettes a day. She was routinely groped and molested by a lot of the Munchkin actors. She was forced to film many hours every day and then given drugs to help her sleep. This actually contributed to her drug addiction and eventual overdose. She was even slapped by one of the directors on set. Additionally, there's a rumor that one of the Munchkin actors hanged himself on set, which many people believe can be seen in the background on one of the scenes.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you. There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash.
Creepy Facts, Part 64. There is a disease which causes your muscle tissue and your connective tissue, which is your tendons and ligaments, to turn into bone. This disease is called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. This is a chronic genetic disease that restricts your movements, making it really difficult to do pretty much anything. Unfortunately, there is no cure and there are very limited treatments for this disease. This car cost 180 people their lives, and Ford didn't do anything about it. This is the defective Pinto model car, sold by Ford in the 1970s. This model car was planned out in a hurry. The production planning phase was a mere 25 months, compared to the normal time span of 43 months. During its first year of production in 1971, Ford sold 330,000 of these cars, making it one of the top-selling cars in that decade. It was later discovered that these cars had a serious defect, where it would blow up if its gas tank was ruptured in a collision. The worst part is Ford knew this. Ford conducted a cost-benefit analysis, and found that these cars would cause approximately 180 deaths, 180 injuries, and around 2,100 damaged cars. Now the problem was a simple fix. It would have cost about $11 per car, or $137 million total to fix all the cars. I'm running out of time, so here, read this. Creepy Facts, Part 64. The first person to have ever received a face transplant was 9-year-old Sandeep Kaur in 1994. Sandeep required this surgery after her hair was caught in a thresher ripping off her entire face. Her parents actually arrived at the hospital carrying her severed face in a plastic bag. And if you're brave enough, there are pictures.
This is why you should be careful who works on your children. This is dentist Harold Snyder, usually pulling out more teeth than needed. He's worked on countless children. He's even put kids in straitjackets watching them scream, not using any numbing medicine. He would even choke kids and tell them not to tell their mom.
He choked me.
Moms have even tried fighting him. More than 50 parents have complained. Charges were supposedly laid off because of his mental health. And he supposedly did all this because Medicaid was paying him for each teeth pulled.
These tiny things right here are called frozen Charlotte dolls, and they were used back in the 1850s as children's bath toys, which is so weird to me because they're literally porcelain. They started off as just these innocent little things, but one day they became associated with this poem called Frozen Charlotte. The poem is about this girl who went out on this cold night and froze to death on New Year's Eve. And I'm not too sure how that poem really became associated with these dolls, but then they were called Frozen Charlotte dolls. So they were no longer bath toys and became collectibles. And whenever people received one, they usually got it in a coffin. So in other words, these were like death dolls. So I bought some. And these are authentically from the 1850s. It's crazy. Here's a closer view of them. They're kind of broken and dirty. And look at their cute little bums. I mean, come on.
Scientists have just discovered the longest animal in the world. Just when we all thought 2020 couldn't get crazier, here comes this. You see this super long thing here? That's a fish. Scientists just discovered this long spiraling marine organism right here in Australia. And the most surprising part is, scientists discovered this by accident. As their submarine was coming back up to the surface, they just happened to just swim right past this thing. Oh, and it might be almost 400 feet long. And scientists say that the average depth in the ocean is 4,000 feet. And they also say that we are just starting to explore at that depth. So who knows what else we might discover by accident? Here are some things that actually happened at Disney parks that'll scare the hell out of you. First up, we have one that literally sent shivers down my spine. A teen once drowned trying to swim from Tom Sawyer Island back to the main Disneyland park. That's right, two brothers snuck out and hid on the island until park closing. They then tried swimming back to the main park, the older with the younger one on his back. But the older one went under and they found the body the next morning. I think they actually closed that attraction down because of that story too. Pretty scary. Next up, we have one that's super creepy. But people consistently try to dump the ashes of their loved ones on Disney's property. This actually is a girl that got caught doing it. This has supposedly become such a big problem over the years that employees have been trained on how to handle a guest when they think remains are being scattered around Disney. Next up, we have a super scary one. But the spirit of a little boy actually lurks in the haunted mansion in Orlando. Cast members have said they hear him giggling and mimicking the hurry back lady after the ride shuts down at night. Pretty cool!
Creepy facts you didn't ask for, but you're getting anyways. Anesthesia awareness is a condition where the patient is fully conscious yet unable to move his or her limbs. Patients are aware through the entire surgery and can feel every bit of pain, but are unable to alert their doctors. In 2007, a 73-year-old man underwent surgery and experienced anesthesia awareness. The man's resulting PTSD resulted in him not aliving himself, and prompted a lawsuit against the anesthesiologists.
So I'm going to teach you guys how to see if someone's listening in on all your conversations on your phone. And I know some of you guys know one of the codes, but there's actually many more. So the first one that you're going to type in is ##21#, and then you're going to call the number. And now this should come up and it will show you that none of your calls are being forwarded. But if this doesn't come up, that means your calls are being forwarded somewhere else. Now if you type in star, hashtag 61, hashtag, and call it, it'll tell you where your calls are being forwarded to. But since I'm being tracked, that's why it says disabled. And now if you type in this final code, it'll apparently switch off all forms of redirection away from your phone. You're welcome.